Hello, my friends, and welcome to another devotional connection. I want to share something with you that I've been kind of going through in Luke chapter 5. Um, Chapter 5, verse 15 says, "The report about Jesus was spreading everywhere, and great crowds were gathering to hear him and to be healed of their infirmities." But then Luke 5:16 says, "But he would withdraw to desolate places and pray." This was the time when Jesus' ministry was getting ready to blow up, and it seemed like he was on the verge. The word about him was spreading. Everybody was gathering to come to him for any and everything, to hear what he had to say, to see if the words were true, to be healed, to be ministered to, people who were waiting for the Messiah to come. And in this time of the explosion of his ministry, what does he value the most? He leaves all of that and goes to pray. When everyone else would pop out and say, "Here I am, I'm full center stage," he leaves to go speak with his Father. He withdrew from everything because he knew that the greatest thing was connection with God. The thing that was most important to Jesus, the thing that was more important than preaching, more important than healing people of their diseases, was getting to be alone with the Father. He loved to withdraw from place to place where nobody else was, just to be with God. Everything he was doing, preaching, healing, was flowing from intimacy with the Father from these times, with the Father, intimacy with the Father from these times alone with the Father. I read that was from David Platt, February 19th, 2023. He was writing about this very verse, this very passage about spending alone time with God. And I found it to be so helpful because sometimes we get into a position where we act first and pray later. We expect God to catch up with us. We forget how this works. Jesus, 9 times that I was reading about when he went to go pray, he prayed before and spent time alone with God before he was tempted of the devil. The verse Mark chapter 1 says, "At once the Spirit sent Jesus out into the desert, and he was in the desert for 40 days, being tempted of Satan. He was with the wild angels, and the angels attended to him." He was out there 40 days fasting and praying before the devil came. He was out ministering, and the Bible says in Mark chapter 1, verse 35, that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed early in the morning just to be alone with God. He knew his ministry started and ended with God. Time after time in the Bible, before busy crowds were seeking him, before the Sermon on the Mount, after hearing John the Baptist had been beheaded, before he fed the 5,000, before he fed the 4,000, and right here at the very end in Mark chapter 14, once again it says, "They went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, 'Sit here while I pray.'" He was praying once again at the very end. It starts with prayer, it ends with prayer. He prayed before he acted. He prayed before the enemy attacked. He prayed during, he prayed after. He prayed when good things happened. He prayed when he got bad news. He knew that time alone with his Father was the most important thing. And we sometimes don't fight enough to get that time alone with God. As much as we can have it happen, as much as we can, sometimes people are put in very tough situations. But if you can have your family members work with you, if you can have special time, if you have to cut out something, if you have to sacrifice something, it is so important to spend alone time with God. That's where we get our strength. That's where we get our direction. That's where we get our courage. That's where we get our purpose. That's where we get the foundation of everything we do. And the crazy thing is, God desires to spend time with you. I think the Bible mentions that over and over again. God desires that one-on-one, intimate time with each and every one of his children. He wants to be with us. It was the relationship that got broken in the garden, and it's the relationship that he so desperately wants to restore. And that comes from spending time together, getting to know each other again. I encourage you, once again, make sure that you are spending time with God every day, that personal, intimate time, so you and him can build that relationship. It is the foundation of everything we do as followers of Christ. Talk to you again soon.